Hey, get ready. Today we're unpacking 5 ninja-like tried and tested hacks to either reduce or eliminate tariffs. And this is a second recording because the first recording had some audio visual issues. So we're doing take 2 here today. Anyway, I want you to know before we begin, I know most of you think that online sellers can apply these strategic hacks because it's only for the big boy brands. But think again, these hacks are completely applicable and practical for even a small to mid-size e-com store. And the biggest shocker is if applied correctly, they are completely legal. Let me say that again for those in the back of the room. They are completely legal if applied correctly. The big players are paying thousands of dollars for this information, but today we're giving it out for free. So brace yourselves because tariffs are about to take another wild ride this week with the administration making some major changes. So knowing how to pivot and apply strategies may make what you learn in the next 20 minutes the most profitable time you'll spend all year. Okay? Ready to go e-commerce ninja style? Here they are, 5 stealthy moves that while your competition is being smothered in tariff tsunamis, you are fly kicking and kung fu chopping these tariffs to oblivion. So let's dive in. First on our list is one of my favorites, going incognito. So redesign and reclassify your tariffs. Tariff engineering is all about smartly and legally designing or reclassifying your product so it falls under a cheaper duty category. Here are some real life examples. Converse turned sneakers into slippers just by adding the fuzz to the soles of their shoes. That's right, they added fuzz and they slashed their tariff rates by 48%, from 48% to just 9%. Then there's the popular brand Snuggies, and they went from 14.9% to just 8.5% by reclassifying their popular wearable snugglers from a robe to a blanket. There's all other kinds of examples like kitchen appliance brands changing plug types or voltage settings to get their products classified as industrial components rather than consumer appliances. And there is one of our favorites, which one of our very own clients applied, which is that slashed their duties by 37.5%. And all they did was they simply changed the number of eyelets in their shoes. Yes, eyelets on shoes, the little holes where you put the shoelaces in. They changed it and they were able to slash their duties by 37.5%. Huge. Now, in a minute, I'm going to demonstrate how you, specifically you, can easily customize and identify how to leverage some of these re-engineering hacks for your very own business. But before I do, let me uncover this next strategic move. You will see why this is important in just a minute. So our next move is to form allies. Even ninjas need allies, so especially when you can help dodge 150% tariff rate. And in this case, this alliance is the USMCA, the United States, Mexico, and Canada Trade Agreement. For example, we helped the US-based fashion brand switch from Chinese supplier to one in Mexico. Because of the trade agreement, they slashed their tariffs rate by over 27%. That's a major win for their margins, and they finally could afford to take those kids to Disney World. They had a family of 5, and they were all anxious to get to Disney World, and they made great profits that year. They definitely felt like the tariff reduction helped. So if your products qualify for this trade agreement, use it, but be careful because origin rules matter. You can't just slap a sombrero on it and call it Mexican. Product material and assembly has to come from a North American source. Now, for the hack, the customized hack that is specific for your company. A few weeks ago, we gave out a weapon of tariff mass destruction, our tariff calculator. And if you missed that, you can find the video and the link to the calculator on our Facebook page on the Facebook Live before this one. So let me demonstrate how you can identify your own customized tariff dodging hack. So let's just say you sell women's cotton dresses. And on the HTS lookup that we covered last week, that tariff rate for cotton dresses is a specific rate. Let me demonstrate. So first, let me share my screen. Hopefully you guys can see this. Oops, gotta remove it. All right, so here's the calculator that we had last week. Now, let's say that you sell these cotton women dresses. And the product code for cotton women dresses, if you look it up, it is right here. And let's see if this one will come up. Here we go. So here it is of cotton, and these are women dresses, women and girls, suit, jackets, trousers, bibs, and dresses right there. Okay, it's 14.9%. Now, let's say that you can reclassify these dresses to, let's say you make them into dressing gowns, right? Like pajama tops or pajama dresses. Let's see what that's like. Cotton pajama dresses. Here they are of cotton and 8.5%. See the difference? So before, those same dresses, right, were, let's go back here. Nope. 14.9. 14.9 versus 8.5. Now, let's take it a little step further. So let's just use this is the tariff calculator. Let's look to see what would it have been if you just stuck with your same business as usual women's dresses of cotton, right? And let's say your country of origin is China, and I'll just put like 10 grand here. Let's just say, just for the sake of simplicity, we're just going to put all this. You have a 66.4% rate. You take that same exact dress and you go, I'm going to classify it as a sleeping gown. You're at 60%. Let's take it a step further and use our allies, Mexico and Canada. Let's just say Mexico. 8.5%. So as you can see, there's a lot of great tariff reductions just by simply reclassifying or changing your supplier, your country of origin, where your supplier lies. Now, here's an overall example of what we just covered. It was 66.4%, and it went down to 8.5%. Pretty big, significant savings there. All right, so let's go on to our next and one of my favorites, and I'm sure a lot of you have heard of this. It is the 321 de minimis entry exemption. I call it going under the radar. And as you know, Section 321 lets you ship values under $800 that enter the U.S. duty free. So take shipments in, but make sure they're small. But be warned, this loophole is closed for goods from China, or at least should be soon. Still, if you're breaking bulk into multiple shipments from anywhere else, consider yourself a logistics ninja. Now, keep this de minimis rule in mind as we cover the next Mr. Miyagi special, which is what is better than one fly kick is 2 fly kicks back to back. And I'll explain in a minute. So the very next ninja-like move is to establish a hideout, these bonded warehouses in foreign trade zones. What are they exactly? So what they are is you can stash your goods duty-free until they're ready to ship in these bonded warehouses or these free tariff zones. So you can store them. You only pay the duties when the goods are released from this warehouse or this free trade zone. And that's when you can go ahead and pay the duties on the shipment that is coming out of those areas. So if you import, let's say, product into the United States, they're staying in this bonded warehouse, and then immediately you take those and you ship them, let's say, to Canada or to some other country, you pay no duties, nada, zilch. It's like they never ever happened. It's almost like they never came to the United States. But there's more. So remember the 800 de minimis rule? We'll marry that with the bonded warehouse and never pay those baseline tariffs. So let's give you an example. You purchase $1 million worth of goods, you store it in a FTZ zone, and as you are releasing $800 or less in product at a time, and it's a legitimate sale. It has to be a legitimate sale, well documented and not intentional, trying to dodge tariffs. Then no tariffs apply. Now that's two fly kicks to the face of tariffs, because one is leveraging the FTZs or the bonded warehouse strategy along with the 800 de minimis and avoiding the tariffs. Now, one thing I do want to emphasize about all of these strategies, and if you were here the last Facebook Live, you would have noticed that we had covered 4 tariff types. And the way it works is that you don't pay just one, you pay all 4 if all 4 apply. So when we're talking about tariff dodging strategies, the one particular tariff type that we're talking about is this baseline. We're not getting rid of these. These still apply. The reciprocal tariffs by country, the Section 301, and obviously the universal 10%. But the baseline is what you see when you calculate the tariffs from the HTS calculator. So I just want to be very clear about that. We're talking about avoiding or reducing the baseline tariffs. Now, obviously, if you go to a country of origin that has a lower tariff rate than the country that you're currently with, you're also getting reductions. And as of right now, this 10% is not applied to Canada or to Mexico. Now, that could change very soon, but it's good to know. This Section 301 primarily applies to Chinese imports. So it's easy to avoid this simply by just not importing from China. Okay, so let's go on to the next slide, which is my favorite. This is divide and conquer. The reason why I like this so much is because it's swift, it's easy to implement, and it takes just a little collaboration with your supplier, and bang, you got some really good tariff reductions. So what it's about is when you apply these tariff rates, they're applied to the declared value of what it is you're purchasing. And sometimes your supplier will just put on their invoice just this one big giant total cost blob, and you're paying duties on all of it. Well, if you unbundle the charges in that blob, so let's say you take out like processing fees and handling fees, or fees for the ink and paper to add fees to your invoice, whatever it is, that is not something that a tariff is applied to, and you really isolate just the actual product cost, then the tariff only applies to that. So we had a client in this same exact situation. They were importing mirror TVs, and the seller invoiced everything together: R&D fees, admin fees, product fees, all these fees. And we worked with the supplier to break it out and reveal what what they did bundle as a slew of items in the product costs. And by taking all of it apart and just identifying what is the actual product cost, we were able to save them over $2,000 per shipment. So, all right. So now that we've pretty much identified some 5 very strategic and applicable strategies that you could start implementing as soon as possible, because like I said, there's going to be a lot of changes to the tariff rates coming soon, we can basically say, hey, look out for what's about to happen, because in the next few days, there will be some changes to the tariff rates. We will be making sure that our Facebook followers are kept informed of all the latest and greatest changes. So make sure you follow us and like us on Facebook, on the Swift.cpa Facebook page, because we will be giving everyone, making them the first to know about whatever changes. Also know the tariff calculator is updated every time there's a change in tariff rates. So using that calculator, you always get a up-to-date rate on whenever there's a change occurring. So it's a really powerful tool. Now, next live is going to be on the one big beautiful bill. So we're going to cover all the pros, the cons, how that bill applies specifically to e-commerce business owners. You don't want to miss it. It's going to be really informative. I think you're going to get a lot of really great things out of that, because we're gonna do a deep dive. We're gonna unpack a lot of all kinds, a lot of things about that bill, whether it's affecting your business, your deductions, or your personal tax strategy. So whether you sell on Shopify, Amazon, or the back of a camel, this session is for you. So mark your calendar. It'll be this week, Thursday at 12:30 this week. So follow this page on Facebook so you don't miss it. Until then, I'm wishing each of you swift sales and sensational success. Bye for now, and feel free to leave a comment if you have any questions about what we covered today. Thank you.